Now in the middle of one of the most significant eras in automotive, Carl Anthony amplifies the minds and voices behind this historic transformation as the host of AutoVision News Radio.
Mic check 1 2.
All while coming to terms with middle age, father loss, and what it means to be successful in Detroit.
One of the things I enjoy most about the automotive industry is meeting people who are passionate about their work and are, for any number of reasons, committed to what they are doing. Since the automobile is a safety-first application, such a deep commitment may stem from the understanding that future innovations can save lives and prevent a family from experiencing a tragedy. In another sense, the vehicles we drive are meant to be enjoyable, from the powertrain to the infotainment systems, and thus a sense of passion can derive from a desire to develop more engaging propulsion technologies or more intuitive infotainment systems because it's important to deliver the very best for future car buyers. Perhaps you know someone like this. Perhaps this someone is you. That automotive is more than a job, but something you feel a strong calling to even after all this time. For me, one of those automotive professionals is Daniel Shwartzberg, Director of Business Development and Systems Solutions at Valens Semiconductor. I've interviewed Daniel countless times now as part of our AutoSens and InCabin events, and had the opportunity to do so once again when our conferences returned to the Motor City in June of 2025. Many of my conversations with Daniel revolve around MIPI A-PHY, the first automotive industry standard developed for high-speed sensor and display connectivity. It is designed to meet next-generation ADAS requirements, enabling high bandwidth, low-latency connectivity to ensure passenger safety throughout the entire vehicle lifecycle. Since its release in 2020, the MIPI A-PHY ecosystem continues to expand, attracting new companies that are designing products based on this connectivity standard. Meanwhile, Valens Semiconductor was the first to offer A-PHY compliant products with its VA7000 series chipsets. When you see it written MIPI A-PHY, all capitalized, 2 words, MIPI and then A-PHY, A-PHY. MIPI A-PHY comes from the MIPI Alliance, described as a collaborative global organization serving industries that develop mobile devices or devices that have a mobile influence. Quoting the MIPI Alliance, the focus of the organization is to design and promote hardware and software interfaces that simplify the integration of components built into a device, from the antenna and modem to peripherals and the application processor. MIPI Alliance crafts all of its specifications to meet the stringent operating conditions required in mobile devices, and they list 3: high bandwidth performance, low power consumption, and low electromagnetic interference, or EMI for short. While on site at the Huntington Place in downtown Detroit, Daniel spoke about an announcement between Valens and Mobileye, which is the latest in a series of newsworthy events around the VA7000 series, the MIPI A-PHY compliant chipsets from Valens, engineered to withstand harsh EMC and environmental interferences and cable degradation that results from age, temperature change, and physical impacts. In time, there's apt to be more news around the VA7000 series, but here is a summary of 3 announcements that preceded my discussion with Daniel about Valens and Mobileye at AutoSens and InCabin USA 2025. The first is from April 2024, when Valens announced its collaboration with Sony Semiconductor Solutions Corporation to complete electromagnetic compatibility testing, or EMC testing, of a multi-vendor A-PHY link, progressing towards a mature Sony A-PHY integrated image sensor that is ultimately compatible with the Valens VA7000 series deserializer chip. This Sony solution is the first to include an integrated high-speed connectivity application, leading to an ADAS camera that's less expensive with a smaller form factor and lower power consumption. Moving from April 2024 to September 2024, when Valens revealed it had achieved 3 automotive design wins from European OEMs. When Daniel says, "We talked about this last time," he is referring to my interview with him during AutoSens and InCabin Europe 2024 in Barcelona in October of that year. The OEMs, which belong to a group of automotive brands, each plan to embed the Valens MIPI A-PHY chipsets in specific vehicle models with a start of production in 2026 and an estimated production volume of approximately 500,000 vehicles annually. Fast forward to March 2025, where Valens has now successfully completed interoperability testing with 7 other vendors of MIPI A-PHY silicon. That testing was a key step towards greater adoption of A-PHY in China, which Daniel will talk more about. And then that brings us up to the announcement between Valens and Mobileye as of April 2025, which Daniel will also cover. As the Director of Business Development and System Solutions at Valens Semiconductor, he is responsible for ensuring customer success at the technical level, working with OEMs and Tier 1s worldwide. While on site at AutoSens and InCabin, I read that part of Daniel's bio just fine. Then came a slight broadcasting blooper.
Moving at the speed of mobility, this is AutoVision News Radio with Carl Anthony in Detroit, Michigan.
Daniel holds a master's degree in Daniel holds a master's degree in electrical engineering and a bachelor's degree with honors in electrical and electronic engineering from the University of Hertfordshire in the United Kingdom. Daniel, welcome. Thank you for being with us.
Thanks so much, Carl, for that introduction. It's always great to see you. Another year passes, and here we are once again. And well done with Hertfordshire. That's, even for Brits, that's a hard one to pull off. So I respect your abilities to do that.
Yeah, I got confused in master's degree in engineering and a bachelor's degree with honors in electrical and electronic engineering. There, I said it right.
You did it perfectly. I've gotten to the age now I don't even remember doing any of that studying, to be perfectly truthful. So, but anyway, it's really great to see you, and I appreciate that warm introduction. Thank you.
Indeed. On April 2nd, 2025, it was announced that Mobileye selected the VA7000 series chipsets from Valens Semiconductor for its autonomous driving programs. Of note here is how the VA7000 series chipsets from Valens are A-PHY compliant, designed from the ground up to withstand harsh EMC and environmental interferences. Daniel, tell us more about this announcement with Mobileye and how did everything come together?
So, I mean, yeah, you and I have been talking now for several years about MIPI A-PHY, and you're well aware, and I'm sure everybody out there is as well, as the benefits it brings, and we begin to see that now really playing out in the industry. But let's put it this way. So the backstory to that announcement is that a very well-known European OEM had a big interest in A-PHY technology, and they approached Mobileye and said, do some analysis for us, do some investigative work, some technical due diligence, and let us know what you think. So Mobileye went along that way, and I think I can quite simply say we're blown away by the performance that A-PHY brings them. And now we see that playing out together with Mobileye's IQ6H platform. So that's their newer chipset, intended for level 2++, level 3, level 4 architectures in several versions of the platform. That led them to realize that A-PHY was the technology that they needed to get those platforms to market. Because if you think about it, they have great technology, but you need to have good data coming in order to really maximize what that technology can do. And A-PHY guarantees them packet error rates of 10 to the minus 19, orders of magnitude more than competing solutions. So they can rest assured that the data coming in is error-free. It's very high bandwidth. It's over long, simple cabling, which benefits, of course, also the OEMs and the other tier ones who are part of this activity. And that brings that technology to market. So yes, they were requested to test it. They tested it. They were super impressed, and that basically opened the door for this very, very positive endorsement for both Valens VA7000 chipsets, but for A-PHY as a technology in general.
Daniel, as we have spoken many times before, MIPI A-PHY is the first automotive industry standard developed for high-speed sensor and display connectivity. How does Mobileye's endorsement then reshape this entire high-speed connectivity landscape?
So as you say, MIPI is a big standardization body, more than 400 members the last time I checked, and around about 50% of them already in automotive, but let's just not forget that A-PHY was also adopted by the IEEE, right? So it's defined and written and spec'd by MIPI, adopted by the IEEE, two enormous standardization bodies here who are backing this technology. So if you're talking about open standards, it doesn't get much more open than that.
Sure.
And of course now, so we have Mobileye, who are really a leader, a transformative leader in their space, in the space of ADAS systems, and as you move higher and higher through those SAE levels on the way to the ultimate goal of autonomous driving.
Right.
So here we have this very, very positive force in the market, a market leader transforming the way those systems are working, partnering with a great technology, the Valens VA7000 A-PHY compliant chipsets, and to bring what is really an extremely powerful winning solution to the market. Right. So for sure, I mean, we've already got the first 3 OEM design wins. We talked about that last time.
Yes.
And this is now, I'm convinced, going to open the door to even more. And in fact, if you read the quote in that PR from April, if you read the quote from Elchanan, who is one of their SVPs of engineering, he's convinced that this is now a huge enabler for Mobileye to get beyond these first OEM design wins to many, many more around the world. As I mentioned, it's starting in Europe, but it doesn't mean it's going to end in Europe, these design wins.
And staying with that theme, Daniel, of around the globe, China is adopting the A-PHY standard. Is that what you're seeing as well? And how does that then compare to the European and North American automotive markets?
So it's a very good question. It's a very good point. And again, I don't like to label particular countries or particular regions in terms of how they, progress with technologies, but I think the proof of the pudding is in the eating, as we like to say in the UK at least. I don't know if that works over this side of the pond, but the proof of the pudding really is in the eating, because when you look what's happening in China, the OEMs there move very, very, very quickly. Yes. I would suggest that they are more willing to take risk in order to achieve market progress and to win market share. Right. And without doubt, we have heard and we see with our own eyes that Chinese OEMs are heading in the direction of A-PHY. I've heard that from tier 1s, I've heard that from OEMs, and that is actually backed up by the fact that if we look at the A-PHY ecosystem that we always like to talk about, because it's such a crucial part of getting a technology to market, is ecosystem. You will see now multiple Chinese companies bringing silicon online that is compliant to the MIPI A-PHY standard. Okay, so I think we can count maybe 7 of them. 7 Chinese vendors now doing, producing, or in the process of producing A-PHY compliant chipsets. And what's beautiful, it's a standard, and everything interoperates, right? So of course, I want people to buy chipsets from Valens, but if they want to buy some from Valens and some from another vendor, they can, and they can rest assured that it interops. Now, we've been doing some interoperability testing with many of those companies that I just mentioned, and the results are already amazing, right? We already begin to see the industry dream of an interoperable ecosystem at the silicon level, an interoperable SerDes silicon ecosystem emerging in front of our eyes. We're happy to be part of that. There was another huge announcement from that last interoperability test from OmniVision, because a key benefit of being a standard is that anybody who has access to it, and like I said, MIPI and IEEE members have access to it, anyone who has access to it and who is making their own silicon can now actually integrate A-PHY directly into their silicon. And where does this really play out is with the image sensor. So if we think about a camera, it's pretty small. You've seen that they're getting smaller and smaller. They are also zero airflow, which means that any heat generated needs to be passively got rid of. And so the integration only possible with a standard, because proprietary technologies, you can't have access to them, they're proprietary, but with a standard, that integration means that now you take away a serializer chip, a transmitter chip from the camera, meaning the camera can be smaller, lower powered, easier to build, easier to test, which means lower cost. OmniVision are now the second company who have publicly stated that they are doing that integration. And once again, there was a wonderful quote from that press release from one of their directors saying this is a huge enabler for our customers and for the OEMs. And of course, OmniVision are the second. The first was Sony Semiconductor. We've already had several press releases with them about interoperability, about even EMC testing. So yes, the bottom line is that China is definitely heading in the direction of A-PHY, possibly even the first design win over there as well.
Daniel, as the momentum continues to build around A-PHY, your booth here at AutoSens USA 2025, you're showcasing a unique feature of your chipsets that I've not seen anywhere else. Built-in advanced diagnostics, your display has 4 cables you walked me through. Tell us about that demo and then why that diagnostic feature is so important.
Wow, and you're right. And And I think it's more evidence of why A-PHY itself is truly transformative. Again, it's a move from a proprietary to standard technology, but it's also a move from analog-based systems to a DSP-based, a digital-based system. So we have hardwired into the silicon DSP, digital signal processing algorithms, to do things like noise cancellation and handle things like physical error retransmission and all sorts of goodies that enable us to get to this crazy packet error rate of 10 to the minus 19, orders of magnitude better than other things on the market. Now, we can reuse some of those mechanisms, not for their day-to-day job, but actually to do pretty advanced diagnostics. So in other words, we're not adding to the system, we're not adding to the silicon, we're not adding to the board. Built into the silicon is the ability to detect things like open circuits in the cable. That could be, if you have, let's say, a coax cable where you have a center core and then a shield around it. If the shield is broken or the center core is broken, we can detect that. Or we can detect if both of them is broken. Maybe a connector came apart or was crushed. So we can detect open circuits. We can detect short circuits. And in fact, we can even detect if the link is, I mean, those by the way, are fairly obvious. The camera will not work.
Sure.
Okay. Now, you may have a camera that's working, but as we know, as cables and connectors age, their impedance is changing.
Right.
And we can detect a change of impedance before the link actually fails. So you may think everything's great in my system, my camera's all working fine, but the cable is degrading, and who knows, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, it's going to fail. Why is that important? The ability to do all of these things, all of this diagnostics means that when an issue occurs, when there's a problem in the field, the car can come in and it's very easy to diagnose what it is, okay? It's even easy to diagnose the failure, like I said, the impedance before it happens, meaning that an OEM, the car can come in for regular service, they check the diagnostics, they see that the cable is aging, they replace it under warranty. From a diagnostics point of view, that's very important, but there's even more capabilities in the system. Because of the mechanisms, those DSP mechanisms we have built in, not only can we detect the fault, but we can tell you where along the cable run it is. Okay, now, how do we do that? We have a mechanism which is called an echo canceller, which for day-to-day operation of the link is needed just to take away reflections, because as you send the signal down the cable, whenever it meets a change of impedance, it could be an inline connector, signal is reflected back, and we need to take that away because we transmit and receive on the same wire. That reflected signal will now come back with the actual data we're receiving, and if we don't take away the echo, as we'll call it, the reflection, it's going to make things difficult to recover the data. So that's a regular operation of the link. Now we can use that to send pulses down and then to measure the time it takes to come back. And by doing this, I can tell you, Carl, to an accuracy of about, what's that, 6 inches, 8 inches, 10, 15 centimeters, something like that. I can tell you where along your 15-meter cable run with maybe 4 inline connectors is your problem. And why is that important? I think you know the answer, but let's face it, when you get into your car, you do not see your wire harness because it's hidden behind the plastic trim and it's under the carpet and it's behind the dash and it's underneath the headlining. Now, without knowing where the problem is in the cable, you're going to have to strip out all of that stuff that I just talked about in order to find out, oh, there's the problem. Now I can say that in the garage, in the workshop, they'll run the diagnostics, they'll say, okay, 2.7 feet from the ECU, that's where your problem is. They look at the wiring diagram, that brings us in the footwell on the back seat on the right-hand side. That's where they pull up the carpet, that's where they find the fault, and that means that they can have shorter time to fix, easier time to fix, less cost.
Daniel, from all of the work with MIPI A-PHY, from your chipsets to the demonstrations that you're showing here, what do you enjoy most about your work at Valens?
Well, first of all, talking to you, each and every one of these things, Carl. But I mean, in addition to that, we have great technology. And I'm extremely passionate about it. You may pick up on the excitement I get when I talk to you about it. So to be able to go to a customer, to a potential partner with a technology that you so believe in, and that you so enjoy sharing with somebody else, I love that. Get me out of the office, get me in front of people, and let me really talk about what I love. And I'm really passionate about this technology. I truly believe in it. I've worked in other companies, maybe I've less believed in it. But here, when you really really believe in something, I think people pick up on that, and that's why we're seeing the successes that we're having. It's not all because of me. I'm not going to take credit for things that I cannot take credit, but I hope in my way with the customers that I'm meeting that I'm helping to evangelize the technology and the products we have. And like I say, we're seeing very, very good traction, building 3 OEM design wins, very, very big announcement with Mobileye. You see the ecosystem of A-PHY growing. And for me just to be a small cog in that enormous, enormous machine, that really does make my day.
To that end, Daniel has recently written a blog post which is available on the Valens Semiconductor website. It expands a lot on what we've been discussing here. So the article that Daniel writes, it expands on the impact of EMC on mission critical applications like automotive, the rising cost of EMC failures in the automotive industry, and then later in that article, Daniel goes into a detailed analysis of how the Valens chipsets are able to withstand 20 times more noise when compared to a legacy solutions. Daniel also includes diagrams of that head-to-head analysis. So, Daniel, I don't have a follow-up question here with this, other than to say it was a very well-written article. It's an example of why I have the utmost respect for you as an automotive professional, why I enjoy following Valens on LinkedIn, and I enjoy seeing your colleagues at all kinds of different industry events all over the world showcasing technical innovations that really do matter and really do make a difference to people.
First of all, I'm blushing. Thank you, Carl. I appreciate those warm words. And yeah, I mean, if I can just bounce back praise, I think that the work you do for our industry in bringing the information that's so important to make sure people in this wonderful industry understand where things are, the work you do is outstanding, and you and your team, and I cannot praise you enough. And like I say, I love every time we get together and we chat, we always find good things to talk about. So thank you once again for those very warm words, but again, right back at you.
See the show notes to learn more about Valens Semiconductor and the MIPI Alliance. There's also a link to Daniel's article, which I referenced a moment ago. AutoVision News Radio is available on all major podcast platforms. From the Huntington Place in downtown Detroit at AutoSens and InCabin USA 2025, alongside Daniel Shwartzberg, I'm Carl Anthony, AutoVision News Radio.